Alright, what's up, y'all? It is the High Guy once again. I'm here reading I'm gonna read some more pages of Fire and Blood. Yeah, so, I'm a little bit limited on time, cause y'all know how I fucking read. I'm just like, I've said it before, snail's pace. I mean, I can't really deny it. It's kind of like the cost of getting high, like things really slow down. Like for me it's fast, but for some of you it's just like, bro, just fucking pick it up and just get moving. Well, you know what? I'm going as fast as I fucking can. So yeah, just bear with me here. So we're on page let's see here. Oh, by the way, someone told me I'm not a librarian. They corrected me in one of the last videos. I'm actually a storyteller. So, cheers out to you. You know what I'm talking about. Alright, here we go. Rhaenys accompanied him, astride Meraxus of the Golden Eyes in Silver Scales. The Targaryen fleet under Daemon Valerian left Blackwater Bay and turned north for Goldtown and the Vale. With them went west Queen Visenya and Vhagar. The king himself marched northwest to the God's Eye and the newly completed Harrenhal, the Garantuan fortress that was the pride and obsession of King Harren the Black. All three the Targaryen thrust faced fierce opposition. Lords Errol, Fell, and Buckler, bannermen to Storm's End, surprised the advance elements of Orys Baratheon's host as they were crossing the Windwater, cutting down more than 1,000 men before fading into the trees. A hastily assembled Aryan fleet. Bro, what the fuck am I even looking at like right now? What the fuck? Augmented by a dozen Braavosi warships, met and defeated the Targaryen fleet in the waters off Goldtown. Amongst the dead was Aegon's admiral, Daemon Valerian. So, I don't know if you all know, but I think, I'm pretty sure the Valerians and the Targaryens are, like, they're kind of related to each other. Like, their families are kind of connected. I believe so. I don't think it's a theory. I think they actually are connected. Alright, so, where were we? Aegon himself was attacked on the south shore of the God's Eye, not once, but twice. The Battle of the Reeds was a Targaryen victory, but they suffered heavy losses at the Wailing Willows, with 2 of King Harren's sons crossed the lake in longboats with muffled oars and fell upon their rear. Okay, so they fell on their ass. Alright. In the end, though, Aegon's enemies had no answer for his dragons. The men of the Vale sank a third of the Targaryen ships and captured near as many. But when Queen Visenya descended upon them from their sky, their own ships burned. Lords Errol, Fell, and Buckler hid in their familiar forests until Queen Rhaenys unleashed Meraxus, and a wall of fire swept through the woods, turning the trees to torches. Alright, so we're using dragons already to fucking burn shit. And the victors at the Wailing Willows returned across the lake to Harrenhal, were ill prepared when Balerion fell upon them out of the morning sky. Harren's longboats burned, so did Harren's sons. Oh, Jesus Christ. We're starting off dark here, boys and girls. Aegon's foes also found themselves plagued by other enemies. As Argilek the Arrogant gathered the swords at Storm's End, pirates from the Stepstones ascended on the shores of Cape Wrath to take advantage of their absence, and Dornish raiding parties came boiling out of the Red Mountains to sweep across the marches. In the Vale, young King Ronald had to contend with a rebellion on the Three Sisters. When the Sistermen announced, the Sistermen? What the fuck are the Sistermen, bro? They pull these fucking these new plays out of their ass, bro. Like, what the fuck? What are we doing here? Seriously, like, what the fuck are we doing here? When the Sistermen renounced all allegiance to the Eyrie and proclaimed Lady Marla Sunderland their queen, yet these were but minor vexations compared to what befell Heron the Black. See, we're already through one page. It only took us about 5 minutes. We got this shit. First word is black, so moving on. Though House Hoar had ruled the Riverlands for 3 generations, the men of the Trident had no love for their Ironborn overlords. Heron the Black had driven thousands to their death in the building of his great castle of Harrenhal, plundering the Riverlands for materials and beggaring lords and smogfolk alike with his appetite for gold. So now the Riverlands rose against him, led by Lord Edmund Tully of Riverrun. Summoned to the defense of Harrenhal, Tully declared for House Targaryen instead, raised the dragon banner over his castle, and rode forth with his knights and archers to join his strength to Aegon's. His defiance gave heart to the other river lords. One by one, the lords of the Trident renounced Heron and declared for Aegon the Dragon, Blackwoods, Malisters, Vances, Brackens, Pipers, Freys, Strongs, summoning their levies. They descended on Harrenhal. Suddenly outnumbered, King Heron the Black took refuge in his supposedly impregnable stronghold, the largest castle ever raised in Westeros. Harrenhal boasted 5 gargantuan towers and an inexhaustible source of fresh water, huge subterranean vaults well stocked with provisions, and massive walls of black stone higher than any ladder and too thick to be broken by any ram or shattered by a trebuchet. Trebuchet? Sure. Heron barred his gates and settled down with his remaining sons and supporters to withstand a siege. Aegon of Dragonstone was of different mind. Once he had joined his power with that of Edmund Tully and the other river lords to ring the castle, he sent a maester down to the gates under a peace banner to parley. Harren emerged to meet him, an old man in gray, yet still fierce in his black armor. Each king had his banner bearer and his maester in attendance, so the words that they exchanged are still remembered. Yield now, Aegon began, and you may remain as the Lord of the Iron Islands. Yield now, and your sons will live to rule after you. I have 8,000 men outside your walls. What is outside my walls is no concern to me, said Heron. Those walls are strong and thick, but not so high as to keep out dragons. Dragons fly. I built in stone, said Heron. Stone does not burn, to which Aegon said, when the sun sets, your line shall end. So we're seeing some savage burns already going on with this. Like the dragons, the Targaryens are threatening people with their dragons already. So like this is kind of how the Conquest went down, you know? It's just like, so yeah, just kind of like lay down and let me fucking take over, or like I'm just gonna fucking torch you and like everything around you with these big fucking lizards that shoot fire. So yeah, they're fucking bulldozing through everyone, taking control. It is said that Heron spat at that and returned to his castle. Once inside, he sent every man of his to the parapets, armed with spears and bows and crossbows, promising lands and riches to whichever of them could bring the dragon down. Ah, shit. Those dragons got some thick skin. I mean, you spear it to death, you might be able to get it, like fucking Drogon in season 5 of Game of Thrones. He was about fucked until they decided to actually fly out of there. So they are beatable. It just takes a lot. Had I a daughter, the Dragon Slayer could claim her hand as well, Heron the Black proclaimed. Instead, I will give him one of my Tully daughters. Or all 3 if he likes. God damn, bro. Or he may pick one of Blackwood's whelps, or Strongs, or any girl born of these traitors of the Trident, these lords of yellow mud. Then Heron the Black retired to his tower, surrounded by his household guard, to sup with his remaining sons. That's gotta be a typo. As the last light of the sun faded, Black Heron's men stared into the gathering darkness, clutching their spears and crossbows. When no dragon appeared, some may have thought that Aegon's threats had been hollow, but Aegon Targaryen took Balerion up high, through the clouds, up and up, until the dragon was no bigger than a fly upon the moon. Only then did he descend, well inside the castle walls, on wings as black as pitch Balerion, plunged through the night. And when the great towers of Harrenhal appeared beneath him, the dragon roared his fury and bathed in his black fire, shot through with swirls of red. Stone does not burn, Harren had boasted, but his castle was not made of stone alone. Wood and wool, hemp and straw, bread and salted beef and grain all took fire. Nor were Harren's iron men made of stone. Smoking, screaming, shrouded in flames, they ran across the yard and tumbled from the wall walks to die upon the ground below. Even stone will crack and melt if a fire is hot enough. The river lords outside the castle walls said later that the towers of Harrenhal glowed red against the night, like 5 great candles. And like candles they began to twist and melt as runnels of molten stone ran down their sides. Harren and his last sons died in the fires that engulfed his monstrous fortress that night. House Huar died with him, and so did the Iron Islands hold on the Riverlands. The next day, outside the smoke and ruins of Harrenhal, King Aegon accepted an oath of fealty from Edmund Tully, Lord of Riverrun, and named him Lord Paramount of the Trident. The other river lords did homage as well, to Aegon as king and to Edmund Tully as their liege lord. So it's a smart choice by Edmund Tully here. So these guys have no answer for the dragons, so it's kind of best just to go with them, even though they're being kind of dicks right now, because they're like, I got dragons, you don't, so just fucking bend the knee, because you know what's good for you. You want to live, you don't want to get burned, so just, yeah. Have to play along. Alright. When the ashes had cooled enough to allow men to enter the castle safely, the swords of the fallen, many shattered or melted or twisted into ribbons of steel by dragonfire, were gathered up and sent back to the Aegon fort in wagons. South and east, the Storm King's bannermen provided considerably more loyal than King Harren's. Argilac the Arrogant gathered a great host about him at Storm's End. The seat of Durrandons was a mighty fastness, its great curtain wall even thicker than the walls of Harrenhal. It too was thought to be impregnable to assault. Why do they keep using impregnable? They trying to get someone in the wall pregnant? Like, what is that wording? Moving on. Words of King Harren's end soon reached the ears of his old enemy, King Argilac. However, lords fell and Buckler, falling back before the approaching host. Lord Errol had been killed, had sent word of Queen Rhaenys and our dragon. The old warrior king roared that he did not intend to die as Harren had, cooked inside his own castle like a suckling pig with an apple in his mouth. No stranger to battle, he would decide his own fate, sword in hand. So Argilac the Arrogant rode forth from Storm's End one last time, to meet his foes in the open field. The Storm's King's approach was no surprise to Orys Baratheon and his men. Queen Rhaenys, flying Meraxes, had witnessed Argilac's departure from Storm's End, and was able to give the hand a full accounting of the enemy's numbers and dispositions. Orys took up a strong position on the hills of south of Bronzegate, and dug in on the high ground to await the coming of the Stormlanders. Oof. I think I got a cold coming on here, man. Shit, maybe I'm just talking too much. Whew. Been doing a lot of videos lately. But we're gonna keep this shit rolling, man. We're gonna keep it going. Show goes on. Where the fuck was that from? Show goes on. It'll come to me later after this video hits. I can't even think about it. Oh, fucking Wolf of Wall Street, yeah. Show goes on. We're rolling on through here. As the armies came together, the Stormlands proved true to their name. A steady rain began to fall that morning, and by midday it had turned into a howling gale. King Argila's Lord Benderman urged him to delay his attack until the next day, in hopes the rain would pass, but the Storm King outnumbered the conquerors almost 2-1, and had almost 4 times as many knights and heavy horses. The sight of the Targaryen banners flapping sodden above his own hills enraged him, and the battle-seasoned old warrior did not fail to note that the rain was blowing from the south into the faces of the Targaryen men on their hills. Well, they still do have the high ground, so even if it is raining in their face, if Star Wars taught me one thing, it's that you really need the high ground to, have the advantage. So, yeah, keep that in mind. Not to mention you have fucking dragons, so like you don't even need the high ground. Okay, so Argilac the Arrogant gave the command to attack, and the battle known to history as the Last Storm began. The fighting lasted well into the night, a bloody business and far less one-sided than Aegon's conquest of Harrenhal. Thrice Argilac the Arrogant. Oh, we got a cool picture here. I'll show you guys in a sec. Led his knights against the Baratheon positions, but the slopes were steep, and the rains had turned to the ground to soft and muddy. So the war horses struggled and foundered, and the charges lost all cohesion and momentum. The Stormlanders fared better when they sent their spearmen up the hills on foot. Blinded by the rain, the invaders did not see them climbing up until it was too late, and the wet bowstrings of the archers made their bows useless. One hill fell, and then another, and the fourth and final charge of the Storm King and his knights broke through the Baratheon center, only to come upon Queen Rhaenys and Meraxus. Even on the ground, the dragon proved formidable. Dickon Morrigan and the bastard of Blackhaven, commanding the vanguard, were engulfed in dragon flame. Okay, so we have more people burning. Along with the knights of King Argilac's personal guard, the war horses panicked and fled in terror, crashing into riders behind them and turning the charge into chaos. The Storm King himself was thrown from his saddle. Sorry, y'all. Eat some. Y'all see the thumbnail? I mean, the fucking it's like the SpongeBob meme, man. Water. That's me, man. That's me about like 10 times a video, depending on how long it goes. But yeah, it's probably around 10 times. Yet still, Argilac continued to battle. When Orys Baratheon came down the muddy hill with his own men, he found the old king holding off 6 men, with as many corpses at his feet. "Stand aside," Baratheon commanded. He dismounted so as to meet the king on equal footing, and offered the Storm King one last chance to yield. Argilac cursed him instead, and so they fought. The old warrior king, with his streaming white hair and Aegon's fierce black-bearded hand, each man took a wound from the other, it was said, but in the end the last of Durrandon got his wish, and died with a sword in his hands and a curse on his lips. The death of their king took all heart out of the Stormlanders, and as the word spread the Argilac had fallen, his lords and knights threw down their swords and fled. Smart men. For a few days it was feared that Storm's End might suffer the same fate as Harrenhal, for Argilac's daughter Argilla barred her gates at the approach of Orys Baratheon and the Targaryen host, and declared herself the Storm Queen. Rather than bend the knee, the defenders of Storm's End would die to the last man. She promised when Queen Rhaenys flew Meraxus into the castle to parley. "You may take the castle, and you may take my castle, but you will win only bones and blood and ashes," she announced. But the soldiers of the garrison proved less eager to die. That night they raised a peace. Oh, we gotta look at this picture real quick. If y'all can't see it, this is the picture right here. It's fucking... It's intense, man. We got a battle going on right now. It's pretty fucking intense. There, I think I got about maybe 3 more pages in. I will say about 4 more pages. Alright. We got solid 4 more pages. I'm gonna get through this one. Let's do this. Alright. Banner. Threw open the castle gate and delivered Lady Argilla gagged, chained, and naked to the camp. Oh my god, bro. We're starting off on a fucking horrible note. To the camp of Orys Baratheon. It is said that Baratheon unchained her with his own hands, wrapped his cloak around her, poured her wine, and spoke to her gently, telling her of her father's courage and the manner of his death. And afterward, to honor the fallen king, he took the arms and words as it ran in for his own. The crowned stag became his sigil, Storm's End became his seat, and Lady Argilla his wife. With both the Riverlands and Stormlands now under the control of Aegon the Dragon and his allies, the remaining kings of Westeros saw plainly that their own terms were coming. At Winterfell, King Torrhen called his banners, given the vast distances in the north. He knew that his assembling army would take time. Queen Shara of the Vale, regent for her son Ronald, took refuge in the Eyrie, looked to her defenses, and sent an army to the Bloody Gate. Gateway to the Vale of Iron. In her youth, Queen Shara had been lauded as the flower of the mountain, the fairest maid in all the 7 kingdoms. Perhaps hoping to sway Aegon with her beauty, she sent him a portrait and offered herself to him in marriage, provided he named her son Rono. Why has she got a hard on for the name Rono or Rono? Ronnel. I mean, shit. Interpret it however you fucking want. I think it's Ronel. Though the portrait did finally reach him, it is not known whether Aegon Targaryen ever replied to her proposal. He had 2 queens already, and Shara Aaron was by then a faded flower, 10 years his elder. Saying she's damaged goods, pretty much. So, that's just a fancy way of putting it. A faded flower. Meanwhile, the 2 great western kings had made common cause and assembled their own armies, intent on putting an end to Aegon for good and all. From Highgarden marched Mern the Ninth of House Gardner, king of the Reach, with a mighty host. Beneath the walls of Castle Golden Grove, seat of House Rowan, he met Loren the First Lannister, king of the Rock, leading his own host down from the Westerlands. Together, the 2 kings commanded the mightiest host ever seen in Westeros, an army 55,000 strong, including some 600 lords, great and small, and more than 5,000 mounted knights. Our iron fist, boasted King Mern. His 4 sons rode beside him, and both of his young grandsons attended him as squires. The 2 kings did not linger long at Golden Grove. A host of such size must remain on the march, lest it eat the surrounding countryside bare. The allies set out at once, marching north by northeast, through tall grasses and the golden fields of wheat, advised of their coming in this camp besides the God's Eye. Aegon gathered his own strength and advanced to meet those new foes. He commanded only 1/5 as many as the 2 kings, and much of his strength was made up of men sworn to the Riverlands, whose loyalty to House Targaryen was of recent vintage and untested. With the smaller host, however, Aegon was able to move much more quickly than his foes. At the town of Stony Sept, both his queens joined him with their dragons. So they're having like a dragon party right now. This is what you do when you all have dragons. Like, you get them together like they're fucking dogs. Like, they have a little play date. They fly around the sky, fucking try to fight a little bit. Like, they're kind of like big dogs, you know? And they just kind of like shoot fire and they fly. Like, it's kind of like that, you know? They're having a dragon play date. Alright, so moving on. Together, the 3 Targaryens watched from the sky as Aegon's army crossed the headwaters of the Blackwater Rush and raced south. The 2 armies came together amongst the wide open plains south of the Blackwater, near to where the Gold Road would run one day. The two kings rejoiced when their scouts returned to them and reported Targaryen numbers and dispositions. They had 5 men for every one of Aegon's, and it seemed. And the disparity in lords and knights was even greater. And the land was wide and open, all grass and wheat as far as the eye could see. Ideal for heavy horse, Aegon. Aegon Targaryen would not command the high ground, as Orys Baratheon had at the last storm. The ground was firm, not muddy. Not would they be troubled by rain. The day was cloudless, though windy. There had been no rain for more than a fortnight. King Mern had brought himself, had brought half again as many men to the battle as King Loren, and so demanded the honor of commanding the center. His son and heir Edmund was given the vanguard. King Loren and his knights would form the right, Lord Oakford the left, with no natural barriers to anchor the Targaryen line. The two kings meant to sweep around Aegon on both flanks, then take him in the rear. Bro, what the fuck are they implying with this shit, man? Whilst their iron fist, alright. A great wedge of armored knights and high lords smashed through Aegon's center. Aegon Targaryen drew his own men up in a rough crescent bristling, with spears and pikes, with archers and crossbowmen just behind, and light cavalry on either flank. He gave command of his host to Jon Mouton, Lord of Maidenpool, one of the first foes to come over to his cause. Alright, guys, I got 2 more pages in me. This is 1, 2, right here. The king himself intends to do his fighting from the sky, beside his queens. Aegon had noted the absence of rain as well. The grass and wheat that surrounded the armies was tall and ripe for a harvest, and very dry. The Targaryens waited until the two kings sounded their trumpets and started forward beneath a sea of banners. King Mern himself led the charge against the center on his gold stallion. His son Gawain, however you want to say it, beside him with his banners. A great green hand upon a field of white, roaring and screaming, urged on by horns and drums. The Gardeners and Lannisters charged through a storm of arrows down unto their foes, sweeping aside the Targaryen spearmen, shattering their ranks. But by then Aegon and his sisters were in the air. Aegon flew above the ranks of his foes. Upon Balerion threw a storm of spears and stones and arrows, swooping down repeatedly to bathe his foes in flame. Rhaenys and Visenya set fire upwind of the enemy and behind them. The dry grasses and stands of wheat went up at once. The wind fanned the flames and blew the smoke into the faces of the advancing ranks of the two kings. The scent of fire sent their mounts into panic, and as the smoke thickened, horse and rider alike were blinded. Their ranks began to break as the walls of fire rose on every side of them. Lord Mouton's men, safely upwind of the conflagration, waited with their bows and spears, and made short work of the burned and burning men. So we're back to motherfuckers getting torched. So yeah, here we go. We got the burning men who came staggering from the inferno. Oh Jesus, the field of fire. The battle was named afterward. Oh man, more than 4,000 men died in the flames. Fucking hell, man, this is brutal. Thousands perished by sword and spear and arrow. Tens of thousands suffered burns, some so bad that they would remain scarred for life. King Mern IX was amongst the dead, together with his sons, grandsons, brothers, cousins, and other kin. One nephew survived for 3 days, when he died of the burns. House Gardner died with him. King Loren of the Rock lived, riding through a wall of flame and smoke to safety when he saw the battle lost. The Targaryens lost fewer than 100 men. Because of the fucking dragons. Obviously, they equal fucking 10,000 men each. Queen Visenya took an arrow in one shoulder, but soon recovered. As the dragons gorged themselves on the dead, Aegon commanded that the swords of the slain be gathered up and sent down river. Last page, guys. Let's do this. Lauren Lannister was captured the next day. The king of the rock laid his sword and crown at Aegon's feet, bent the knee and did him homage. And Aegon, true his promises, lifted his beaten foe back to his feet and confirmed him in his lands and lordship, naming him Lord of Castle Rock and the Warden of the West. Lord Lauren's bannermen followed his example, and so did many lords of the Reach, those who had survived the Dragonfire. Yet the conquest of the West remained incomplete. So King Aegon parted from his sisters and marched at once for Highgarden, hoping to secure its surrender before some other Clemente could seize it for his own. He found the castle in his hands of his steward, Harlan Tyrell, whose forebears had served the gardeners for centuries. Tyrell yielded up the keys to the castle without a fight, and pledged his support to the conquering king. See, they know what's right for him. Just give up. Just don't even try, bro. Those dragons, honestly, literally no chance. Alright, so what we got next here? It was King Aegon's intent to continue his march south and enforce the submission of Old Town, the Arbor and Dorne. Whilst at Highgarden, word of a new challenge came to his ears. Torrhen Stark, King of the North, had crossed the neck and entered the Riverlands, leading an army of savage Northmen, 30,000 strong. Jesus Christ. Well, I mean, they have dragons. It doesn't really fucking matter. Aegon at once started north to meet him, racing ahead of his army on the wings of the Balerion, the Black Dread. He sent word to his two queens as well, and to all the lords and knights who had bent the knee to him after Harrenhal in the Field of Fire. When Torrhen Stark reached the banks of the Trident, he found a host half again the size of his own, awaiting him south of the river. River lords, Westermen, Stormlanders, men of the Reach, all had came. And above their camp, Balerion, Meraxus, and Vega prowled the sky in ever-widening circles. Yeah, this is a massacre waiting to happen. Oh, we got a visitor. You want to join the stream? Or, well, it's just video. He's off screen, but my buddy Miles over here. You probably see him in one of the videos. He's like a miniature little Scooby-Doo. You'll definitely be seeing more of him in the videos, don't you worry. He's gonna be cameo a lot more. So let's finish this up here. When Torrhen Stark reached the banks of the Trident, he found a host half again his size. Alright, I already read that. Well, blah blah blah. Yeah, the dragons are plowing the sky. they're prowling the sky. Okay, so this is the last little paragraph here. Torrhen's scouts had seen the ruins of Harrenhal, where slow red fire still burned beneath the rubble. The king in the north had heard many accounts of the Field of Fire as well. He knew that the same fate might await him if he tried forcing a crossing of the river. Some of his lord's bannermen had urged him to attack all the same, insisting that the northern valor would carry the day. So we made it about 10 pages, and that's not too bad considering I kind of got a bit of a sore throat coming on. So yeah, we're slowly getting through this. I mean, probably another fucking shit, I don't know, 70 parts. Yeah, we'll finish this shit one day. One day we'll get to it. But yeah, thanks all for watching. Excuse me, I kind of have to do this. Oh. Literally like that SpongeBob meme. Water, water, yeah. That's me, bro. That's literally me. So, yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I appreciate it. Up next is the doubleheader for those of you that are interested in that whole football thing. I definitely have some words to say after the end of that fucking Pats Bucks game, because we had an opportunity to win that game, and some shit went down. I'm not fucking happy about it. People are gonna say like, hey, y'all are fucking, you looked really good against the champs, but I'll get into it on Tuesday. So yeah, stay tuned for my mini rant on that game, and my analysis of all the other fucking games that happened, and the ones that are coming up. I just got to get through Raiders Chargers tonight, and after that, shit, it's going down, man. The second episode of the doubleheader. And then What If's coming out, and then American Horror Story. Oh my god. Whew. That's Sriracha just snuck up on me. Excuse me. But yeah, fucking the doubleheader, the What If review, American Horror Story review. I'm gonna try to do more Twitch streaming. I'm waiting on a new headset for the Twitch streaming. So yeah, look out for that. I'm gonna try to get a new webcam. I'm working on that. I know the quality's kind of not fucking great. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm getting a 4K webcam for this, and hopefully that'll fix the issue. Hopefully there's no more fucking flash on here, because I put a little tape in front of that shit and it's still flashing. But yeah, let me put these shades back on, because after all, I am still the high guy. I gotta remind you all of that. So yeah, thanks for watching, all. I'm gonna quit rambling here. Get this shit out here. So yeah, like, share, and subscribe. I appreciate it. It's everything. Anyone who's checking this shit out, you're fucking legend, bruh. You get laid every fucking night. I don't know what else to say, man. You motherfuckers are winning. So yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow. Or whenever you watch my next video. Alright, take it easy, guys. Have a good day, and remember, stay high.